Hi everybody, and thank you for joining me today. So, start of a new month. Yeah, I am almost to the peahen. Yeah, her wing kind of intersects the stitching right about there. So I am filling in still this indentation, sort of what was between the fence post and her wings. And then, yeah, by next session, I will probably be working on her wings. And yeah, I am almost at 70% is what I managed. So I'm thinking I will hit 3/4 done probably end of next month, end of June. But like I often say, I don't make it a goal because I don't want to stress myself out. But yeah, that is my estimate. Got everything set and ready to go. Yeah, make sure my camera is in the right mode because I was filming something else, and after I finished, I went to double check that the footage was usable, and it was only 19 seconds long, and I went, I definitely filmed for longer than that. So I looked at it, and it turned out, yeah, somehow I had managed to put it in time-lapse mode, which I didn't want, so yeah, like a 4-minute video ended up being less than 20 seconds long, so it was a good thing I double-checked. Yeah. Oh, I tell ya, I've been doing this for a while, but technology still manages to stymie me sometimes. Oh dear. Yeah, I'm not even that old. I grew up with a lot of this stuff. I'm kind of one of the youngest people who will still remember analog life because I was born in the early 80s. So, yeah. Actually, it was really interesting. I saw a video by this guy saying that humanity has made sort of some really big shifts that happened in like one generation, and how those generations would have been very impacted. So like the ones before them, their life was pretty much the same. The ones after them, the life was pretty much the same, but the ones in the middle were, and he said that his big three were the agricultural revolution, and then the industrial revolution, and because that makes sense, right? People went from, that to working in factories was a huge change. And then he said the last one he named was the information revolution, he called it. Yeah, with the dawn of the internet and us all having a computer in our pocket all the time. Thinking, yeah, they're right. Yeah, after this, there probably isn't going to be a lot of that kind of change, but yeah, it's funny because I even grew up, with a mostly analog childhood, but even I sometimes forget what it's like. It says, yeah, I'm the generation that's old enough to remember dial-up and yet still rage quit any website that takes longer than 10 seconds to load. Yeah, it's like, you would think I would have more patience after having grown up with the, it took 3 days to download one, song or something, and yeah. You couldn't use the phone while you were using the internet, and yeah. It sounded like a cartoon to log on. Yeah, when I was at school and we first started using computers, we had computer mice, so that was a big deal. Yeah. We had just got them sort of like the year before we started using computers, so yeah. I don't really remember DOS commands very much. We did use them a little bit, but yeah. My husband remembers those because he's 5 years older than me, so yeah. Well, plus the fact that he actually works with, technology as his job, so yeah, that keeps you up to date on it. Yeah, he's the one who's been having to help our son with his coding homework because I am completely hopeless at that. Yeah, they're learning Python, which my husband hates. He much prefers like C++ or Java, but yeah, that's the one they're learning, so. Yeah, I actually had to have him explain to me. I said, okay, but like Python itself is also a program, so like what programs Python? What runs it? He had to explain that it's machine language that basically, yeah, it's just every individual little sort of pixel or whatever telling it binary, is it on or is it off? Yeah. He explained it way better than I could. And it actually did make sense to me, even with my non-very tech brain. Yeah. I said, honestly, in the end, it's actually kind of fascinating when you think about it. Every function of, you know, a computer program, an electronic whatever, is eventually comes down to the zeros and ones, right? Is it on or is it off? Yeah. I said, okay, well, that makes sense to me now why screens were in just green and black or yellow and black to begin with, because, yeah, that's much simpler than having to program in different colors, right? Yeah. Takes a lot less computing power. Or how they used to run on punch cards, which, yeah, same thing. Is the hole punched out or not? On or off? Yeah. So yeah, you can see by looking at the pattern that this is where the colors intersect for her wing. So, like I said, I'm going to fill in this indentation, and then I will probably go to the top and start working on her wings. And her wings will probably be quite confetti heavy. Yeah. Because all the overlapping feathers, and as she's smaller than the peacock, yeah, that means they're compressed into a smaller space, so that means more confetti. However, once I get past the peahen and into the big, oh, there is a thing there. My gosh, I tell you, and I even marked it on the pattern. I bet some of you noticed and thought, why is she searching for a new piece of thread when there's one parked right there? Yep. Silly me. Yeah, it's funny because I said there were some games I had, really old games, like from the 80s. And yeah, some of them you can't run anymore because they relied on the fact that the old CPUs were slow. So they didn't put in like manual timing in it to tell things how slow to move, because it just relied on the fact that, yeah, the CPU only runs this fast. So yeah, some of them you can't play it unless you use some kind of emulator that will actually slow it down, because it is, yeah. Well, to program that in takes a lot more steps and stuff, and so yeah, a lot of times they don't bother caring about replayability when technology changes. But yeah, I am someone who likes to replay stuff. Just like I'm someone who likes to reread stuff and rewatch favorite stuff. Yeah. Apparently they said, I was reading, that if you have anxiety, that tends to be a thing because you know there won't be any big twists or whatever. So you know it's going to hit those emotional notes, and you know it's not going to upset you too much. So yeah, that's why we like continuing to return to old favorites. So I don't do that as much anymore, yeah. When I was a kid, sometimes I would reread books so much I could practically quote them. But yeah, I don't do that so much anymore. There's just too many. Well, I think also when I was younger, I had less selection, right? I mean, if I'd read out basically my entire school library, well, my choice was to just read stuff again. Yeah. But now, with, you know, ebooks, yeah, I've got more books than I could ever finish in a lifetime, so yeah, a book has to be really special for me to want to reread it now. So yeah, as you can see, this was the edge of the fence post, and then that's where her wing and tail kind of intersect with it. Filling all of that in. Just double checking with my grid lines that everything lines up properly so that I don't mess it up. Yeah, so we had a nice weekend. We got to go to a gala again because of my husband's work. They always have a whole table. So yeah, I've gone, I think, to 3 out of the last 4. Yeah, I didn't get to go to one of them because they didn't have enough tickets, so we take turns. Yeah. Yeah, and I like to dress up, not that often, but every now and then I like to. So yeah, I actually wore my old prom dress, which still fit. Yeah. When we were renovating in the summer, we had to take everything out of the closets because we were putting new carpet in there and also repainting. So yeah, that meant I actually had to clean out that closet completely. And I thought, you know what? This probably doesn't fit anymore. I should, you know, donate it for someone else to use. But I thought, what the heck? Let me give it a try. And yeah, it still fit. So what do you know? Yeah, I think it was actually a bridesmaid's dress that I bought as my prom dress. But, I mean, it's pretty classic, right? Just a, yeah, basic kind of slip dress. But it's got a low back with this decorative scroll work on it. Yeah, which I think is quite pretty. So, yeah, I wore it to a couple of weddings I wasn't a bridesmaid in, but, you know, it was good formal wear. Yeah, I remember I had to have it shortened by like 6 inches because even with heels on, it was dragging across the floor. And yeah, I trip over my feet enough as it is. I do not need any help of extra fabric. Yeah. All right, I've got a lot of little bits and bobs here. Yeah, so I think I might get another 0 or so in this pass. Might not be this month, but yeah, not very many. Of course, as usual, zeroing out colors happens in the very last one. Okay, these colors are fairly dark, so yeah, I'm safe to pin stitch this here. Yeah, and her wings are quite dark too, so I don't think I'll be hitting any more lighter colors until I get to her, yeah, to her belly feathers. Yeah. And then when I get to her, or past her and to the pink flowers, there's some large blocks of color there, so that part I think should go quite quickly. And then I get back into the peacock's tail. But yeah, all in all, this pattern has not been as confetti heavy as I would have thought from looking at the mock-up. So yeah, as you can see, not stitching diagonally, as I got this indentation here to fill in. Okay, so I did those. I'm going to do these. Shoot that one as well, and then cross my way back up. Yeah, so my kiddo's got like 2 months of school left. Hard to believe. Yeah, and actually got a notice in the mail the other day that he is now a full driver. Yeah, because here in Alberta, they do a graduated licensing program. And if you have 2 years of clean driving, then you are out of your probationary period and you're a full driver. So there's, your insurance gets a little bit better, and you have fewer restrictions, because before that you could only take one passenger with you who wasn't an immediate family member. Yeah. And yeah, once that is lifted, you can have as many in your vehicle as you have seatbelts, of course. Yes, you still have to follow seatbelt laws, but yeah. And I think you weren't allowed to drive between the hours of like 1 and 6 or so. I can't remember. I never did, so it didn't matter to me. Yeah. But yeah, but it was funny because when I finally got my license, I was 24. Yeah. It took me a long time. And then you have, after a year, you can take your full test at the time. That's the only way you could get out of your probationary, was to take a second road test. Well, I hate taking tests, so I went, this is good enough. I was never driving other people around, so no problem, I was only driving my own kid. And yeah, so I just figured whatever. And my insurance actually went down. It took an extra year, but it went down after, so many years of clean driving without accidents. So that wasn't really an issue. And then, yeah, they finally decided after that they don't require a second road test. And as long as you have 2 straight years of, driving without you having caused any accidents, then, or getting any tickets, then you're good. So I said, yeah, I waited them out. So I am now full driver as well. I think I became that last year, yeah, or a year before. And I could have actually gone into the DMV and had my actual like physical license updated to have that removed, but I didn't bother. It was updated in the system, so if I'd ever been pulled over, it would have shown up. But yeah. So yeah, I finally was out, and I did email my insurance saying, just, in case it makes any difference, I am now no longer a GDL driver. And they said, no, because it's been over 10 years, your rates are as low as they're going to go. So they updated it for their records, but yeah, they said like, yeah, you've already earned as many breaks on your insurance rates as you're gonna. So yeah, thought, well, you know, you can't blame a gal for trying. Yeah, that's kind of a relief. We are currently still paying for kiddos insurance because it is cheaper if it's bundled with ours. So, yeah. Well, and again, we have it bundled with, you know, other insurance as well. So again, yeah, they give us a deal. So might as well. So yeah, kind of doing almost a reverse kind of diagonal here to what I would normally, what I used to do. But yeah, so of course, like I say, with this, there's a little bit of closing in because of the way I've chosen to stitch this, but still trying to not close in on all four sides. So you can see I still like to, leave the right hand side open and slowly grow out towards it, changing colors as necessary. And that's just my way, you know. People stitch in all sorts of different ways. And some people really like to get into method wars, saying that this is a better way and stuff, but it's like, no, just stitch however it makes you happy. There's plenty of things in life with rules. I don't think your hobbies should be one of them. There. I was having a hard time getting both strands there. Yeah, so it has been gorgeous here. I don't think we're going to get any late snows. Of course, I might have jinxed it by saying that, but no, it's been lovely. The breezes have still been a little bit chilly, but yeah, it's been gorgeous walking outside weather. So we've done that a few times, yeah. When kiddo needed a haircut, we just walked to the mall, to the salon there, and then walked home. And my husband said, oh, you know, you guys want to walk? It's so far. I said, well, no, not if we take the biking trails. Yeah. Yes, if we walked following the main streets, yes, it would be like 40 minutes, but we take the back trails, it's like 10. So yeah. Yeah, and often if I only need a thing or two from the grocery store, there's one in the mall, so if it's a nice day, I will just walk and get it there. Makes me get my steps in. Yeah, the only drawback I find with my walking outside is when the wind is cold like that, my ears are very sensitive to it. So I'm sure I get some weird looks because I'm walking around with earmuffs even though it's sunny. But yeah, I learned the hard way. My ear canals are very sensitive to the cold, and I get very sore if I don't protect my ears. And headphones don't do enough. I got earbud headphones, and yeah, sometimes I need to put the earmuffs on top to block the wind. Okay, so I may branch off with this color and do separate threads, or I may find a way to sort of do it with one. I haven't yet decided. I plan somewhat ahead, but not that far. As you can see, this is a little slower going. Okay, did those. So yeah, I'm thinking for now, yeah, I will probably branch off. We'll see. The thing is, this thread is about halfway done, so I mean, I'm going to have to add another one at any rate. At some point, because it's going to run out. So around 221,000 is my estimate for this month. I think I actually did the math. 3/4 is 230,000, 175. So yeah, I would be very surprised if I managed that this month. That would be a nice bonus, but yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. Okay, stitch this a little vertically for a bit. All right, and I'm going to head in to these little corners and fill those in. Yeah, so I probably won't get this whole bit done this session because that's still probably another couple hundred stitches, so. But we will pick away at it. Yeah, these bits of flowers here are quite detailed. Oh, goodness. Okay, so I have 2 strands of this. Just going to check the length of both. Yeah, that one's pretty short, I kind of thought. that it would be. This one's about a medium length, but yeah, the length of what I already have attached is generally the biggest factor in my deciding what to stitch with what thread and what to park where. So yeah, if it is connected on one side to what is already stitched, then I generally stitch that. Oh, we have fuzzy here. Probably from one of those pin stitched ends. Okay, actually going to do that one first. This is a little shorter, but I can still get one last stitch out of it, which would be perfect. Yes, I can see now this is sort of the center of a flower, so that's why the colors are kind of radiating out from it in kind of a circular sort of pattern. Circular sort of shape. Right, swap to the other thread here. Got that between the strands there. Okay, actually I'm going to do this one first. This color here. Yeah, because then it can be tied off. Looks wrong. I think I pierced the fabric possibly. Okay, try that again. Yeah, that looks better. All right. That way I can do, you get this thread to cooperate, I can do all 3 of these at once and tie this off without a pause in the middle. So this was concave and now it's convex. But eventually, with these full coverage pieces, it ends up square. There, I learned the hard way to make those ends go to the back first before making any more stitches, because sometimes it gets pulled along with the thread, and then, yeah, trying to get it to go to the back is a nightmare. Oops, that was crooked. Yeah. Won't disappear nicely into the fabric if it's not straight. It would probably be okay because, like I said, these are darker colors here when I stitch over it, but yeah, I'd rather fix it now than later discover I should have fixed it. Now I can't. Okay. This one has been quite a lot of color changes, so yes, sometimes I get 200 in an hour, but I don't think that's going to happen today. It will not be that kind of a day. Ah, yes, so I said I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I didn't realize there's another thread here that I can take that branch with. Yeah, so I said I might add another one, but actually I don't have to. There is one already there. So that's why I say I don't plan too far ahead, because, yeah, I'd be sitting there spending all my time planning my paths instead of actually stitching them, so, yeah. I kind of get a rough idea of what I'm going to do, but I just figure it out as I go along. Just realize those strands look kind of funny. There we go. Smooth them out. I know it's one stitch shy of the previous row, but in case I miscounted earlier, yeah, just like to double check my counting sometimes with my grid lines. There. Well, maybe I will get this squared off up to her, or filled in up to where her wing and tail kind of intersects. We'll see. Always like when I can surprise myself by doing more than I thought. That's not a fuzz, that's a little end. There we go. I haven't had many knots today, but those ends have been giving me grief. Oh, there it is again. I tell ya. Go back and stay there. We don't want you on the front. Yeah, so I'm thinking 72% total might be doable by the end of this month. Yeah, I've been managing about 2.5% or so. Yeah, I do like how Pattern Keeper divides things into hundredths of a percentage, because yeah, it can be on these big projects can be kind of frustrating to see that percent meter take forever to move even 1%. So yeah, so actually I've almost got this even with this. Got this filled in up to the wing, a little further than I thought I would, which is always nice. Okay. Actually, maybe I will finish filling this in today. Make a little bit of a longer session. I know there's a lot of people who say they prefer that, so yeah. The problem is when I'm filming, I can't move around as much, and yeah, my leg starts to fall asleep. Yeah, when I'm stitching without a camera, I kind of push the whole stand away and bring it back as I change colors and stuff, but obviously I don't want to do that while I'm filming. That would not make for a good viewing experience. Everything jumping, shaking even more than it already does. Yeah, I know my stand is a bit wobbly. There's only so much I can do about that. It's funny saying earlier how my camera ended up on time-lapse by accident. Yeah, my husband was goofing around with his, and he took a stuffed animal and was sort of like slowly rocking it back and forth a bit. And then when you played it, it looked like the Flash. He's like, yeah, it looked quite funny. Makes me kind of wonder, so how did they do that effect on the show? Oh man, it was funny because I was watching some behind the scenes the other day, and they were talking about visual effects and special effects, and I totally didn't know those were different things. Yeah, so they said the visual effects are the stuff that they do in post-production with computers and stuff, you know, green screen things in. And the special effects or practical effects are things like, you know, squibs exploding, or like, you know, blades retracting into handles and things like that. And like, yeah, I've been using those terms interchangeably without realizing that they were different things. So, yeah, you do learn something. You know, maybe not every day, but yeah, you always be learning something going through life. Okay, just gonna check again this thread down here. Okay, yeah, reaching, like you can see the edge of this section of color here, because pretty soon I'm going to be tying off all these colors because it'll be different colors for the bird's wing there. Yeah, so everything will be kind of almost diagonal again. Yeah, which is how I started off this channel, was diagonal stitching, but it slowly changed on me over time. Yeah, so quite a lot of colors in this area, quite a bit of detail. Okay, so let me just, yeah, do the lower ones first. Actually, this thread is probably enough for all these, yeah, stitches sort of in this area, so that top one I'm probably going to just tie it off then. Overshot there. Yeah. Almost did it on the other side. That would not have been good. I might carry it up. Yeah, since sort of the next section of this color is not too far away. I'll just park it up there to use later. So some colors here from this flowers are also used in the wings, but a lot of them are not. Oh, I just realized I didn't do that color with this one here. Yeah, I missed one. Okay. I bet some of you probably noticed I did that too. Yeah, I marked that I did it, but I forgot to actually do it. All right, no prob. Oh, I think I may actually get close to 200. It was like when I outperformed what I thought I would do. Might as well finish this area. And I will surpass 200 stitches. That's always nice. Yeah, I might as well finish this area off. Good, somebody's using some squeaky machinery out there or something. Okay. I'm glad now I didn't tie off that top one. I think that would have been, this piece would have been too short to do those 2 stitches as well, so that is why I chose to do that. Because if I had, I'd be kicking myself now that I have to add a strand again. Yes, you can see the peacock's wing there kind of is starting to emerge. Shares some colors here. So I will be working on that next session. So yeah, I started off with quite a few threads, but now they're finished. Yeah, so it got further than I thought. This was empty, and I filled it all in. This feels satisfying to me to get that all filled in like that. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope to see you here next time. Thanks, everyone. Bye.